did really good for this race and we got 5th position again. And the 2-stop strategy seems to be similar to 3 stops. I had a look at the race replay. I would normally expect like position 14 or so, 15 or so, because we only just started mid-season and everyone else started at the start of the season, and our car and driver isn't upgraded. But last race we got 5th, so got 5th again is something we did expect. You can see we reduced his risk a bit because he was going off track last time. And this time his stamina didn't drain as much compared to the past few races, about 30, 40. And then we're a bit conservative with the hard tires. When we use medium 2-stop, we might have like 7 to 12% left. But he also made a mistake again this race, and I had a look at the replay. He went off by himself, but that's not too much of a big problem because we can always train him and reduce the aggressiveness by doing yoga, and he won't go off. We were a bit conservative with using the harder tire compound, but if you look at the gaps between the 4th position, we are like 40 seconds or so behind, so even if we change the tires, we might come close to him, but we won't necessarily expect that we might beat 4th position. Recently I also changed my driver and I got rid of the old guy because he's too heavy, and surprisingly I didn't have to pay any compensation for signing a new driver, and then we got accepted for a new racing team. Look at the old driver, he has like very high weight. His skills are medium good because he has high concentration and appropriate aggressiveness, so he's always pushing hard, so that makes him good at driving, but he's too heavy. Then I recently just signed on this new driver who has a lot of talent, not so much concentration, but he's very light, like 37 kgs less than the old driver. We chose this less concentration and with like an okay aggressiveness because I can always train his concentration or aggressiveness easily and make him push appropriately hard so he's optimized. But if we have like a high concentration, like maybe 150 and like maybe 40-50 aggressiveness, it's much more difficult to have the appropriate ratio to concentration and aggressiveness, because you only get like 3 points or so each training in aggressiveness or 3 concentration or so. So it's easier to make him have the correct balance with the lower stats. Also I had considered this driver because he's also had like a low salary and he's low weight. Stats are okay, but the talent is slightly low. I didn't pick him as the first driver, but I had this backup plan in case someone else wanted to bid on my first driver. I did some calculation based on the Q1 is like no fuel and Q2 you have some fuel, and then I look at the difference in the Q1 Q2 time of this race and also the previous races. Use this race as a reference because Q1 Q2 is quite similar in the weather, and then we refueled to 125, and then we had this time difference. I then used this time difference and I recorded the values and added into the calculator tool which I created, and based off the difference in Q1 Q2 time, and we know the difference in fuel was like approximately 0 fuel compared to like 83 liters or 125, we can calculate approximately each lap how much time we lose, and we came up to the conclusion that we lose about 0.03 seconds per kilogram, or about 0.3 seconds per 10 kilograms, and 1.2 seconds is like quite a bit of time, and we lose 35 kilograms. Our old driver was 100 and now it's 63 kilograms. We will gain about 1.2 seconds per lap. Each lap time was about 1 minute 50 seconds, and that would be huge in the race. It will take many car upgrades to get this value. And if we look at the past race that we just had, this was our car character points, 28, 31, 33. And then I think the testing points just came through, and now we're at 32, 33, 34. So this race, the car is going to be even faster. Then previously I mentioned that I will get more power and acceleration because the front wings and stuff normally is more upgraded and you have more handling, so it gives you like balanced car points. And because I gained only about 0.03 seconds per lap by losing a kilogram, it doesn't really make sense to make him have even less weight. So because when you do weight training, he also loses motivation and it's not good for performance. And all of his other stats are like pretty much quite good, if not already there. So I'm just going to make him do the sports psychologist so we can improve the motivation more and we can get quick performance. Also have to look at the driver happy range because we changed the driver and we put that into our car setup calculation tool. And they also have to look at the car wear to see what parts need to be changed. And then I'm also going to record the difference in car wear throughout the race, so my calculator tool can compensate for the difference in wear from start to finish of the race and change the setup. Then I also put in all the values on my calculator tool, so I know approximately what parts need to be changed. And then if I look at the gear, I only need to downgrade the part because it's only 6 points away from 95 wear. And then the cooling, because it's level 1 I can't downgrade, so I have to upgrade it. And I'm going to make all of those changes in the car. If we look at my car, there's not much change in the performance after this upgrade compared to other people's car level. Using the calculator tool, I'm thinking of doing a one stop and then put all of those values on my calculator tool. If you look at this race, the track, the total signs of doing low amount of pit stops is if it's hard to overtake, and then mostly if it's hard to overtake, and depends on how much handling it requires from the car, how hard it is to overtake, and the amount of fuel consumption is what I should be looking for to decide how many pit stops I should do. I'm also looking at how much fuel I need. More fuel didn't change much compared to the old driver. I know it's 60 laps and I want to give it 3 extra laps of tires. And for my calculator tool, I can see that for 31, 42 laps, I would have this much percent of tires left and I would need this much fuel. I'm going to use all of the past race data, and then first I need to find the average wing, and I'll input the two values. I got 534. Enter the values of my calculator tool so I can find the starting point. In my old race, you would notice that I've recorded doing 2-stop. It works well and I had good results and past race using 2 stops. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to have a think about that. So I know that I can only do medium 2 stops, so that's only 1 tire compound softer than the hard. And then I know it's 20 versus 30 laps, and I know it's about 40 liters of fuel difference between doing 1 or 2 stops. And if I look at other people's qualifying time, we can also add 40 liters of fuel, and that equals to 30 kg. And then based on the difference in the lap time, we know each lap will be 1.3 seconds slower with that much more fuel approximately. And then over 17 laps you lose this much time. But we know it's only 60 laps or so, and we know that one pit stop takes about 45 to 55 seconds. So both strategy would be quite similar in terms of the race performance. I just put all of this into the calculator tool, and then I'm going to do the 2-stop, and then also saw in the past replay through many laps there was like the slower drivers on the bottom of the group, and then you always have to overtake the slower drivers. So even if you use the harder tires, it isn't necessarily getting you much clear track because you have to kind of always overtake drivers. So I think both the 1 or 2 stop should be quite similar, but perhaps maybe the 2 stop may be a bit better. And I'm going to find the setup based on the past race results. I'm using this as a reference, and I know the car is very unstable in many corners, so we are 2 happy ranges away from the optimal setting. And I can use the calculator tool to add about 1.5 more from the happy range. I might add 2. And I entered all of the other values into here. And then I'm going to enter the results into here, which I already did. And I'm also entering this values into the calculator tool, and also entered it here already. So entered the values again. And I found out the optimum values based on the calculator, and we're going to find the wing split. You can see we keep increasing the rear wing, but we keep the average wing the same. The combined wing is same 556, but we keep increasing rear wing. And then we can see we have to increase it quite a bit. And luckily we had the past race data, because we know that we have had an aggressive rear wing, so we increased it by 4 steps. Increase my wing split by 75 each time. And then I know the wing split is about here, but then it's slightly closer to this wing split. So I'm going to give him this is 225 wing split minus like 10% of 75. It's going to be 217. I know with slightly less rear wing it's this lap time, and it's a 75 more it's like this worst time. I entered the final set of values and I'm going to do the Q1. We look at the past race results, we're about a second, maybe 2 seconds away from this person who has the second most amount of points in the race. And this time we're only 0.6 seconds slower than him. The driver didn't make much mistakes because we know it's about 33 seconds at 0.6. So it's probably about 0.4, 0.5 seconds error, so that's quite good. Then I know it's minus 2 degrees in the Q2, and then I'm going to change the setup. Enter the value results for my calculator tool. Then I know I want to do 20, 21, 22 laps to have 3 more laps than 60. I know that's the amount of fuel I need. I think we had a very consistent qualifying time because we're only about the same 2 seconds or so difference between Q1 and Q2. And then you look at the starting grid, I'm in the 3rd position and they're the top 2 leaders with the most points. There's also few different people on these people with 20 to 70 points who hasn't qualified yet, about 3 or 5 people. And if you look at the past race which we just had, we're about 2.5 seconds or so on average slower than the column Malta. But he's using 2 stops and we're using 1 stop tires and we have more fuel. If you look at this time, we're probably using the same tires and fuel load as him, and we're about 2.1 seconds. But then the race is longer by a bit, so our driver dropped 35 kilograms or so, and currently the qualifying time is just kind of average. I'll say I was expecting a bit more time gain. If I look at the practice lap times of my past driver, you can see it's quite good because it has high concentration. It's about like 0.2, 0.3 seconds off on average. You see in Monza, it was wet, so it's about maybe up to 2.7 seconds, and if the lap's a bit longer, maybe 0.8 seconds. Currently we have about 1.6 seconds difference with the new driver. I know the average race temperature is about 14, and the difference between Q1 is about 3 degrees, and we can use it to calculate our setup. I entered the calculated values, also the fuel. I'm going to leave the risk settings the same as the previous driver because he has a similar concentration to aggressiveness ratio. I think the main reason why this race we didn't get that much time gain in qualifying from the lower weight of the driver is because this current track is more dependent on the car points and the car performance, and look at the previous track is like half as dependent on the car points, car performance. And then you can see whenever you earn points, after each race you get sent points money. You get about 50k per points. You can see we are conservative with upgrading the car because we have 10 million left, and then once you need to replace quite a bit of cars again, sometimes you need to change quite a bit of parts on the car that might cost like 15-20 million. Conservative ensures we don't go into negative money, and that will make the entire team, driver and the staff demotivated, and it's bad. And then we are not doing any more testing because it takes 3 races for the car points to take effect, and upgrading directly would be more efficient. And when we look at the calendar, there's only like 4 more races left. And I think this is like a phenomenal result because we started mid-season and we have points and we're up in the leaderboard. It's very competitive, so you have the correct driver and everything, and you started from race 1, but something isn't quite right, then you didn't use good calculated tools and stuff, you might expect to be like 13 to 20 or so in the position. But we started midway and we're about in the 13th position, and we're finishing in the 5th position each race.